welcome back to another recording for Black and White SU Open. This is Fastwalker, and I am with a guest this time. Say hello.
Hello, my name is Aiden. I am a fellow member of the Black and White SEO Council, and I am very, very excited to be on here today because I really like Black and White SEO. It's a really fun metagame. The forum tour has been a really good opportunity to see more players, see more strategies be implemented, and in general, it's just been an exciting time for anyone who's been observing Black and White SU for the last year, like Fastwalker and I have. So yeah, it's an honor to be able to go over our set together.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I had the idea where it's like, what am I going to do for my own sets? I think I should commentate. And like, just as I was thinking of doing that, I get a message like, hey, do you want to like co-commentate it? And I'm like, yeah, sure, that's awesome. So happy to be doing this. Um,
Yeah, like the because I haven't thought to do something like this for any of the tournaments that I've been in. But
yeah,
it's such a cool idea because it allows people to see more insight. People who potentially haven't played Black and White SU can get more context surrounding everything when they watch these replays,
yeah,
which
for
is always
sure.
quite useful for getting people into the meta games. And in the
Yeah.
case of this, it's just a fun excuse to talk about the tier. And hopefully I can improve my own play by going over
I think.
all the decisions that I made. Because typically, whenever I finish a game of Mons, I never think about how I played it. It's just kind of always a blur to me.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. And like I think this is helping me a lot because I was not active in the tier for a while, so like I'm just coming back and I'm like I need to learn so many developments that are happening. So I've
Yeah,
been
because
scrambling for team building and stuff, and it does help to like see all the replays and what people are using. So,
for sure, like I had a lot of growing pains back when we dropped like Vanillux and Crew a year ago because the
yeah.
metagame changed a decent amount.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
Yeah, you've had a lot less time to adapt to the metagame than I have,
Hmm.
and that's despite the fact that you won the tournament, not the last tournament, but the one before that, which means that like you are good at the tier for sure.
Yeah, but I'm good at an old version of the tier, so I need to sort of get up there to sort of relearn a lot. But
Mhm.
all right, if we're all done, we're going into the we can go into the set now, right? So, uh, for my team, you might notice that there's no rocker. I believe this is not on purpose. This is an accident. I did. I believe I originally had Corsola over Granbull. I swapped it out because I think it's a
Mhm.
very good like physically defensive mon, but did not include rocks. And then on the other hand,
Yeah.
we have uh, an unconventional rock setter in Primplot.
Yeah. So for my team, I knew immediately the first team I wanted to build spikes, because spikes are really strong. Badu is a really good setter, and for me I've kind of grown a mentality with this tier of the stealth rock user is one of the last things I want to add onto my team because generally the stealth rockers aren't particularly great in the tier. They get the job done, and that's all they really need to do. And for me, I was like, oh shit, I need a Vanillix check. And Premplop allows me to have a Vanillix check while also having a Stealth Rocker. It's very very specific role compression. I think this is the first ever time Premplop has ever showed up in a tournament game.
It might have
So
one
I was
time
really excited to
before,
rep
but
it.
it definitely wasn't common at all.
Hmm.
I feel like I've seen it like one time, but very new to the meta, so.
Yeah, like I remember in the last viability ranking slate, Val rated Premplop at B plus. I thought that was an insane take, but I was also so morbidly curious on how anyone can think that I knew I had to use it myself.
I'm gonna be honest, I think when I was doing that ranking, I didn't know Primplip had Stealth Rock.
Oh
So,
yeah, Stealth Rock is the only thing Primplop has.
yeah, I thought I didn't have Stealth Rock. So
Hmm.
for a second I thought you didn't bring Stealth Rocks either, honestly. And then I was like, oh, you actually do.
Great. And
But
then
anyways, here we are.
for like the rest of my team though, I knew I wanted. I'd say my team is a bulky offense, like a Spike's bulky offense.
Yeah.
So I knew what my defensive core would be, and that defensive of Budu and mostly Premplup ended up being the especially defensive part of the core.
Yeah.
While Luxray and Volabai were the physically defensive bit. One of my one of my favorite cores in Black and White is pairing Electric and Luxray together because they're both
Mhm.
really good pivots. But Electric and Luxray get absolutely demolished by Drillbur, so I opted to run Volabai instead of Electric, so that way I could have a better Drillbur matchup. And
Yeah.
Volabai is actually pretty solid as a pivot itself, despite being Stealth Rock weak, which thankfully didn't become an issue for me this game.
Yeah.
the
But it is very bulky physically. And
And it has Roost too, which is something that Electric doesn't have.
it's
So
what it
there's
has like Roost knockoff U-turn, so some really
yeah,
good utility.
yeah, for sure. I like to think of Volabai as sort of like an Electric alternative if you are worried about a Drillbur matchup.
Yeah.
Which honestly you probably shouldn't be, but I typically am because I like to build my teams as safely as possible.
Yeah. This team was trying to be a paralysis heavy team. There were some slow breakers in the Crocodile and the
Yeah.
Grand Bull. Grand Bull can often run like bulk up, or it can just go like as a straight up attacker, or it can go Fizz Def. But whatever it is, it hits really hard as like 120 attack with stab returns. So that's one of the strongest unboosted moves in the tier. And then Crocodile has Swords Dance, has good priority in Aqua Jet. And so there's a lot of solid paralysis ones. Luxray can set it obviously, but also Hypno gets Thunderwave, Granbull gets Thunderwave. I don't have it on this Lopunny, but it hits Thunderwave as well. So a lot of it is just sort
Mhm.
of built around that. And then Vanillex as a slightly faster Pokemon.
Yeah.
And obviously
And like
Lopunny is a faster Pokemon as well.
and Paraspam is really good too.
Yeah,
Because it
Paralysis.
dismantles things like Fearow, which are really strong.
Yeah, and this is old gen paralysis, which means it is 100% accurate for Thunderwave. I think 1 in 3 full paralysis and at quarter speed. So like even if even if you have like a Scarf Luxray or like a Scarf Fearow, for example, which would be the fastest Scarfer in the tier by far. If you paralyze that, this uninvested Grand Bull is gonna outrun it. Like
Mhm.
which is insane. But
It
right?
is like yeah.
Yeah. So I think we've done enough talking. I think we can
Mhm.
get this going and start the game.
Yeah.
We get a Luxray,
So
and what speed do you think we should be running this at, by the way? Like,
that is a good question because
maybe just slow, and then if you want to stop at any point, we can.
yeah, so I'll just request a
Yeah.
pause
Yeah. So
whenever there's a
double
pausable
double
moment.
intimidate leads, and I'm choosing to stay in
Mhm.
with Grand Bull just to spread the paralysis. And yeah, you are gonna see the Vullaby switch in as sort of a physical defense mon.
Yeah. Because I was like because my Luxray set is pretty passive.
Mm.
Like it's just Volt Switch, HP Grass, Rest Talk. It's
Yeah.
just a pivot to get the job done. So I kind of need Volaby with like to get a little bit more done, get a safe pivot in with U-turn. Is it
Mm.
slower than Gramble? It is not. So I
Luxray
don't know.
definitely faster than Granbull, unless if you
Mhm.
speed invest Granbull, I guess. But like, that's basically just if you want to speed invest Granbull, it's just to outrun defensive Pokemon. Since like,
Yeah.
I think it's base 40 speed or something, so it's really not outrunning anything that's actually speed invested.
Because like for me, I was spamming I think the play if you kept on having Gramble there would have been for me to just keep on switching between Luxray and Volaby, because like what is Gramble realistically gonna do outside of bulk up spam? But again, I have taunt on my Volaby, so
Yeah. The big thing would be I could get a little damage on the Luxray, but also, Granbull's health is really important, especially with the spikes and
Mhm.
was this a Rocky Helmet Luxray? I forget.
It was a Rocky
Yeah.
Helmet Luxray.
With all of that, it's difficult for Granbull to stay in the field for a very long time. And
Mhm.
I believe this Hypno was not so a lot of the time, like Hypno can run Wish plus Protect, and it's very specially bulky, and then it runs like two of the four of like Thunderwave, Toxic, Seismic Toss, and Psychic. and I
Yeah.
think this game I ran Psychic, which means I couldn't touch the Volby at all. If this was a
Mhm.
Seismic Toss variant, I could have potentially rolled the dice with paralysis, or even just got a little progress on like Roost PP, for example. But I was
Mhm.
very hardwalled on the Hypno here.
Yeah, which like that was the goal of this team because one of the biggest threats in this tier is Nasty Plot Hypno. It's one
Mm,
of the scariest sets in the tier.
yeah,
So a big part of why I have Lullaby instead of Electric is so I can have a better matchup against that Hypno set.
right. Yeah, and yeah, Hypno's main things are Nasty Plot can be very, very hard to stop, especially considering I don't think anyone we brought it to any of our games, but one of the best
Mhm.
defensive Pokemon is physically defensive Gloom, which obviously is like really, really
Oh, I
prime
didn't
for
use
Hypno to
Glue.
switch in, get a boost, go kill something.
Yeah, like Hypno is a sweeper that directly takes advantage of one of the best Pokemon in the tier, and that's what makes it so terrifying.
Yeah. And I would say Corsola, one of the more common rockers as well, due to having Regenerator, also really
Mhm.
loses to Hypno similarly, just because Hypno is really good natural special defense, so even if it's offensive, Scald is doing very little.
Like Hypno also has substitute on its nasty plot sets, which means that not even a phaser like a tongue can deal with it.
Yeah. Well, there are phasers that have Whirlwind or Roar, but Lickitung has to use Dragon Tail, which
Yeah,
is
it just
definitely
throws
a
Tapu at it.
downside. It does do damage, but Lickitung is very weak, and it also is really held back by just both the low accuracy of it and just like not being invested in being a Lickitung.
Yeah. One thing I will say is that I was shell shocked by just how bulky, especially defensive Prinplup is.
Yeah, I was very surprised as well, and
Because I had the
like
same surprise when we found out how bulky Badu is with an Eviolite. Because I'm mostly a DPP SU player, and Badu is
very
genuinely
frail
kind of
there.
frail in DPP SU.
Yeah.
It's still a good Pokemon because spikes are really good, but
Hmm.
in Black and White SU, Badu is like fairly bulky,
Yeah.
surprisingly so.
This is the first metagame. This is the first generation to have Eviolite, and Eviolite tends to not be super important in like OU and stuff because there aren't really many. Like losing an item actually really does matter. But when the power level is so low and like a large portion of the Pokemon aren't fully evolved, Eviolite can just like shoot your bulk into the stratosphere, and it's crazy.
Yeah. Like, yeah, I after playing this set, I 100% believe that Prinplup deserves more exploration as
Oh, for sure. I might
being like
honestly
at least
build.
on par
Yeah.
being at least on par with something like Kecleon.
Yeah, yeah. No, it seems really neat, and yeah,
Yeah, because
and
I was
so
actually considering Kecleon for this team, but I ended up replacing it with Prinplup because I needed the water.
yeah, that makes sense. And I get a
That
crit
crit was
here.
hilarious.
I don't know if it mattered, but it didn't
It,
matter in the grand scheme of things because I mean, if you look at the teams, I'm a little screwed.
mhm. Like, I got lucky before anyway by sleep talking Volt Switch earlier.
Oh yeah, but
So
we are
like,
gonna see. And this is I think really indicative of like hazards. Like I think a
mhm,
pattern I've noticed. I think this is like the sixth set that I've commentated, or maybe the seventh.
yeah,
Um, in about 80 to 90% of the games, the team that's getting the team that's controlling hazards and getting them up first is ending up winning. Because this is a tier, a lot of these low tiers, like with SU, a lot of Pokemon that are neutral and a lot of Pokemon that are weak to Stealth Rocks. Like it's not like you have like your Skarmory, which takes very little from rocks and is spike immune, and you have like tons of great fighting types. It's like Pokemon are coming in. If there's rocks and spikes, the average Pokemon is taking a quarter of their health every time.
yeah.
And the spinning options aren't great, so hazards are hugely, hugely valuable here.
Like one thing I noticed watching tour replays Yeah, surprising is because like my playstyle of spikes is generally to set them up whenever it's safest to. But I've noticed that the people who aggressively set them up are always the ones who end up winning in their games.
Yeah, yeah,
Like Badu generally only gets one spike up in most black and white SU games, and yet that one spike is just enormous for offensive
yeah,
pressure.
for sure. And I think I do end up breaking through the Vullaby. Vullaby is fairly passive, I would say, and that's its biggest
It is.
downfall. Where, like, even though it can sort of taunt this, it can't necessarily stop. But I think you get me
Yeah,
in a pin here where I kind of have to
yeah.
sack something at this point because at this range,
Vanilla was my spec bait.
Vanillux will kill. Is this Specs on this?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Specs. So Specs Ice Beam, very difficult to answer with like the hazards up and with the team worn down. And Granbull's obviously slower, so I basically have to either sack something and come back in later with a Granbull that's even lower health and is gonna bait in Vanillix anyways, or I just have to sack the Granbull. So you're gonna pin me here and kill this. And I
Yeah, and
think,
as soon as I realized that your team just dies to Vanillux, that was when I realized, oh
yeah,
yeah, I won this.
yeah. And you're gonna be able to swap to the Primplup due to the resist, and now there's really nothing on my team that stops you on the
Mhm.
specs. I don't know if Luxray might live it, but it doesn't really matter because this is Badoo's gonna take that out even.
Yeah.
I do send him the Luxray and I think get a last kill here, but oh my
Yeah, and like
god, it
that was
just
what shocked me the
lives.
most. That turn, Primplup lives that? Really?
This is defensive Luxray, but still.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
I
that was the
forgot. It
moment
just
where I was
lived.
like, oh yeah, Primplup is severely underrated.
And I
This
think
thing has
you come in
merit.
with a Vanilla X and I think just Ice Beam twice at this point.
Yeah. Hmm.
Hypno comes in, but again, like with the toxic damage and with all that, like
Yeah.
there's game one, and we are going to game two.
Yeah, I felt really good about myself after that
Oh
game.
yeah, no, that was very well done. Like just in terms of just like super shutting down the threats. I think
Yeah.
Granbull made some good progress, but like a lot of the other Pokemon I was bringing were not able to break through. So
Yeah, I was really worried about the Gramble because when building that team, I realized that the biggest issue was kind of like, well, I had two. That team had two issues, which is that it struggles against like super setupy hyper offense and also like super duper slow stall stuff.
yeah,
Because it's kind of hard to check everything in this tier.
mm,
But I know that you're someone who tends to run more honest teams, for lack of a better word. So I figured I didn't need to worry about that as much when building.
yeah, yeah. No, but going to game two, we're looking at a more. Now I'm running a spike squad. Keeping the Hypno, I
I'm
believe.
running Paris spam, so it's a bit of a role reversal there.
Yeah, this is a role reversal. I'm running another spikes team. This one is mainly bulky. I have sort of a more defensive. I believe uh Fion, Corsola, Hypno, Vadu are all sort of defensively built in some way. And then I believe this is I'm not sure if this was a Scarf or just an offensively invested Luxray. And then I was intending for the payoff to be Firo is sort of the offensive pivot of the tier. It's the second fastest Pokemon and the fastest to have a pivot move. And that
Mhm.
combined with having very solid power just makes it like extremely threatening. But I think this team has a lot of really solid answers to it, which we will see play out in the match.
Yeah, when
Um,
building this team, I feel like I kind of went overboard of Firo answers, but at the same time, it just kind of ended up working out that way.
yeah,
My main Firo answer was supposed to be Lampent, because I like the roll compression Lampent has, both a Vanillux and Firo answer. It kind of didn't need to be on this team, honestly, since I have a lot of Firo answers already, plus
mm,
Octillery for Vanillux. But
yeah.
you never hurts to have more than one answer to both of those Pokemon.
Yeah, and this
And
team, you have, I believe, another Thunderwave setter, which is Octillery.
yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah, like
Octillery is another one of those slow breakers, along with Granbull, along with like Croconaw and Beartick over here, um, where it's slower than any other offensive Pokemon, but it has the bulk to take one hit, and it can also just put serious hurt on the vast majority of defensive Pokemon, especially with
yeah.
hazard support.
Like my surprisingly enough, the only real bulky Pokemon on my team um is Wormasand. My Luxray is more of a bulky attacker.
Mm.
I went for a mixed set because I thought that would be funny against something like Lickitung.
Yeah, with the superpower, right?
Mhm.
And that's a really good way to get around a lot of those special balls. I mean, it's not going
Yeah.
to do a ton to Hypno, but it's going to do a lot to a lot of the bulkiest things in the tier, which are physically defensive or especially defensive.
Yeah, like a lot of my team was dictated based off of like things that I know are good on Paraspam. Like Octillery is mainly used on Paraspam.
Hmm.
Same, and Grambl's useful all around, but it's especially good on Paraspam.
Yeah.
And then Beartick was a Pokemon that I'd seen used a lot in tour replays and has been generally hyped up a decent amount. Um, and I was wondering what the fuss was all about, so I've been trying to use it more lately.
Yeah, and it's basically it almost plays like a slower version of Vanillix, but with the ability to
Mhm.
boost its own attack. It gets Swords Dance, and then it can boost its Aqua Jets, which are really
Yeah,
nice for example, like Beartick, like a slow attacker like Beartick, especially one that's pretty frail like Beartick is going to get like outran and returned to death by Firo. But if you're +2 and like Firo is at, maybe it came in on Rocks once and it's at 75, I believe an Aqua Jet can just kill. So
mhm,
you completely turn that matchup against the opponent.
for sure.
I think the coolest Beartick set I saw though was I think a Sub Punch set, and it just sort
Yeah,
of
I remember
stayed
seeing one.
in on a Corsola turn one and just straight up one shot it.
Yeah, like that was a cool set.
That was fun. It was turn one too. I like started watching. I'm like, okay, cool.
Mhm.
But here we are. Let's roll. And we have Luxray Fion lead. You do outlead me here.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, you don't have a ground type. I can just spam Volt Switch this game. Hell yeah.
Yeah, and I was sort of trying to see if like I was cautious and like respecting the scarf set, which is why I wasn't U-turning. This is an offensive Fion. And so what I mentioned earlier about the Hypno set being psychic last game, this time it was actually Seismic Toss Thunderwave. So Lampent, I could not do damage to Lampent.
Yeah.
So I think you see me go straight to Corsola here. Yeah, on the rocks to set my own to be like, I need to like make sure Hypno isn't hardwalled by anything.
Yeah.
I
I'm
set
like, I need
rocks.
early rocks because that Firo exists.
Yeah, that's really the deciding factor. If the Fiora player can keep rocks up, there's not a ton that you can do easily to stop it. Though I will say this
Yeah.
team in particular does kind of have a really good combo, which I'm going to point out when the Fiora comes in, which I think is going to be soon.
Mhm. And
Though I
one thing that I ended up learning during this game that I didn't know beforehand too, which I'll also talk about when it comes up.
Yeah, though I do think I stay in too long with Hypno here, and ultimately
Yeah.
like try to wear it down with Seismic Toss, but I think I get
One
parried
thing
a
I'll
couple
say is
times,
that
which is bound to
despite
happen.
my team despite my team being a Paraspam team, I got way too greedy with trying to get Parahaxes this game.
Mm,
Like one time there'll be an interaction later of
yeah,
Octillery and Budu where I think I played poorly and got bailed out because of it.
yeah. So I
Due
think
to
I remember that, but I get Firo in here, and this is I think the devious part of this team. So
Mhm.
The two moves Firo wants to click on this Wormadam are Return and Drill Peck, and
Yeah.
you have a Lampent, and then you have a fairly bulky Luxray. And so you also happen to have Wormadam has a very shallow move pool, which works against it in some ways, but in this way, you are able to protect here.
Wormadam is secretly one of the best Firo checks in the tier
Ah,
somehow.
so you think this is weak to Drill Pack, Firo outruns its stab move is Firo is immune to its stab move. You think Firo comes in on this for free, but the problem is if you have a team that has like two things that resist Firo's stabs, and you run protect, you can just sort of take your pick. So I end up trading 25 damage on rocks for like very little progress with the drill pick.
Mhm. Yeah, and it was at that moment where I'm like, oh yeah, I think I have a decent chance this game.
Yeah, no, I think at that moment I'm like, okay, I lose this.
Yeah.
But we are going to
I
see the Luxray come in, and this was another unfortunate decision. I was playing
mhm.
for sort of the Graveler. I was sort of playing for Graveler, for Corsola, and for a couple of other rockers, and I was running Hidden Power Grass, which meant I could do a lot less damage to Wormadam. So I was
Yeah.
relying a lot on doubles, like this one, into Fion.
Yeah, because I tend to rely a lot on Pokemon like Graveler and Pupitar, especially in the last tour. This tour, though, I realized that Luxray's the thing, so I'm kind of trying to stop using them all the time.
Yeah, yeah. And so the my win con here is basically just chipping down this Octillery, but it's
Mhm.
it's taking 20 damage even from an offensive Scald, so a lot of dangerous stuff here. And you get the para here, which is going to set up a lot of potential for stuff. And
Yeah,
I
and I was
think
like,
yeah,
I can't afford to let this Budu get spikes up once, so I
yeah,
just have to attack it.
yeah. And I was almost expecting a switch here, so I think I go for Synthesis, but it ends up not working out because on the following turn, I think I get full paralyzed. So this was something where like playing, even though you could have say like got Lampent and gotten a lot of free progress with that, like this was something where I just needed to kill that Octillery to open up my Fion.
And like in my opinion, because I put you in that position, I actually played that badly because I should have just went into Lampent.
Right. Yeah. And so here you see Hidden Power Grass on here, and
Yeah,
I'm
and
gonna
I'm like,
have to
oh shit, Wormasand destroys the entire team outside of Fion.
pretty much. So yeah, this is not my best team building, basically. So here you see this again. I go for Drill Peck again. Luxray comes in. I maybe try to predict this, but the problem is there isn't actually a ton left that hard walls the Luxray. So yeah, and I'm gonna end up actually sacking Firo. I believe, yeah.
Yeah, I'm
And
like free
basically at
volt
this
switch for me.
point, I'm just hoping you end up sending Octillery in an extra time, but I think at this point you've realized your upmons and oh yeah, Lampent also lives that. This is we were talking about Eviolite earlier, and
Yeah.
Lampent runs Eviolite, um, and it lets it sort of barely survive a lot of big hits.
Mhm. Like I'd say that Lampent is actually surprisingly decent against Fion because the energy ball that it hits Fion with is a really hard hit.
Yeah. I would say defense if it's especially defensive Fion, like you end up beating more solidly. But if it's an offensive Fion, it's like Lampent usually can take a hit, unless it's come in multiple times on rocks, and then it can
And like
almost kill the Fiona response. And then a lot of teams will either have like a priority user or like a revenge killer or something else once
yeah.
that goes down.
And like I generally think that Fiona's better ran offensive, but defensive sets have their merit too, because I mean of course U-turn is great for any kind of set.
Yeah.
It's why Fiona is pretty by far the best water.
So Luxray is going to
So
come back
BizDef
in, but
Luxray is
again, like,
bulky.
what did you say? Sorry.
BizDef Luxray is bulky. It is crazy.
Yeah, that's a casual 20% from a Baratech superpower. So,
Mhm.
and I
Like I
do
was
think
shocked.
I send in Corsola here, and I think yeah, you have the Lumberry actually to deal with that. Yeah, one
Yeah, because I'm like, oh, I'm running a setup sweeper. I gotta run them.
I actually just thought of something that could be neat for Beartick. I wonder if White Herb could be interesting, like to hit some breakpoints on Superpower, but I'm not sure if those breakpoints actually exist yet. So I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
sack Corsola here, and it basically comes down to I think the Granbull in the back has the bulk to live a Fiona hit, so Fiona
Mhm.
is gonna get this kill.
I'm like, if I get crit and scald burned, I might lose this, but
Yeah, that's pretty much. I think you still kill. Like, did this have any attack investment?
Um, yeah, the Gramble definitely had attack investment.
I assume it would kill anyways, honestly. Though
Hmm.
I think a crit might kill. How much does Scald do? Yeah, no. Okay, yeah, you were always winning that. So
Yeah.
I get steamrolled a little bit here, but
Hmm.
these were fun games regardless, and I learned a
Yeah.
lot. So
Yeah, like I was really happy with this set overall because like I haven't been especially confident with my black and white building as of late. But being able to watch replays from the tournament has been able to help me out quite a bit in terms of having a general idea of what I should try to do in games.
yeah, no, but it was this was a really fun set, and wishing you luck in winners. And I'm hoping. I feel like every time I enter an SU tournament, I end up losing round one winners, and just going
Yeah.
for however far I go in losers.
I lost round one winners in my last black and white tournament, and I think I made it
Yeah,
to like semifinals. So,
yeah.
um, so there's a
I
chance for you. I'm rooting for you.
Yeah, and I'm forever thankful for double elimination because
Yeah.
single elim is it can feel really bad.
Hmm.
Whether you're losing because of like bad luck, which obviously wasn't the case this time, or just like because you just kind of messed up one day. Like having that second chance is huge. So,
Yeah.
but
Like like I'm excited to be on winners for this tour. Puts me in a safe spot. I can't get cocky because there's a lot of good players that I still need to fight.
yeah,
Um, but I'm wishing you luck in losers bracket. I think you have a pretty good chance of making it far.
yeah. So it was really fun to do this commentary, and I'm gonna try to sort of continue making more of these and uh, see where we go with the tournament as it goes. So thank you so much for being here, Aiden, and it was great. So, all right, see you guys on the next one.